Hi everyone. Welcome. Today we're diving into a crucial topic for anyone working with Docker, security. Specifically, we're asking a vital question. Does using a Docker socket proxy actually improve security? Let's break it down. First, understand what the Docker socket is. It's the primary way you communicate with the Docker daemon. It's a very powerful interface. If an attacker gains access to your Docker socket, they essentially have root access to your host machine. This means they can create containers, delete containers, and even mount the host's file system directly into a container, giving them full control. Exposing this socket directly to a container, especially one that isn't fully trusted, is a huge security risk. Many tools, like monitoring agents or CI/CD runners, need to interact with Docker. Giving them full, unfiltered access to the socket is often overkill and highly dangerous. This is where a Docker socket proxy comes into play. A proxy is a small service that sits in between your application and the actual Docker socket. Instead of your application talking directly to the powerful Docker daemon, it talks to the proxy. The proxy then forwards the requests to the real Docker socket. But here's the crucial part. It doesn't just forward everything. A well-configured Docker socket proxy can significantly improve your security posture. One major benefit is API filtering. You can configure the proxy to only allow specific Docker API calls. For example, a monitoring tool might only need to list containers, Docker PS, or inspect their status. A proxy can be set up to permit only these read-only operations, blocking dangerous commands like docker run, docker rm, or docker exec. This implements the principle of least privilege, ensuring applications only have the permissions they absolutely need. Another advantage is read-only access enforcement. You can easily ensure that certain applications only ever perform read operations, preventing accidental or malicious changes to your Docker environment. Some proxies also offer authentication and authorization layers. While the raw Docker socket relies on file permissions, a proxy can introduce network-based authentication, requiring credentials before any Docker command is processed. This adds another layer of defense. Furthermore, a proxy can provide auditing capabilities, logging every request that comes through it. This gives you a clear audit trail of who did what, which is invaluable for security monitoring and incident response. It can also help in limiting network exposure. Instead of exposing the raw Docker socket, which is typically a local Unix socket file, over the network, you can expose the proxy. If the proxy is properly secured with TLS encryption, authentication, and strict firewall rules, it can be a safer way to provide remote access than directly exposing the daemon. However, it's important to note that a proxy isn't a silver bullet. If a Docker socket proxy is misconfigured, it won't improve security at all and could even make things worse. If you simply proxy all Docker API calls without any filtering or authentication, you've just added an extra step without extra security. Exposing a proxy over the network without strong authentication and encryption is also a major risk. The key is proper configuration. When used correctly, with granular filtering, read-only permissions, and possibly authentication, a Docker socket proxy can be a powerful tool to reduce your attack surface and enhance the security of your Docker environment. It helps you enforce the principle of least privilege, which is fundamental to good security. So, does a Docker socket proxy improve security? Yes, absolutely, when implemented thoughtfully and securely. It's all about adding intelligent control and limiting the power given to individual applications. Thank you so much for watching and learning about this important security topic. If you found this information helpful, please consider subscribing for more content like this. We appreciate your support.